All right. Yesterday we spent some time with the annuity formula, and that it's fine, but it still takes a fair amount of calculations. And if you want to discover different which investment opportunities are better than others, it's much easier to use software either through the internet, or in this case, we're going to look at it's called a TVM solver on the graphing calculator to look at annuities. So our goal today is I will use the TVM solver to solve annuities. Now, in order to find this solver, what we do is we take our graphing calculator, and you should be getting kind of used to using it. And I'm just going to quit the screen for a second. Now, the way I get to the solver is I go to apps, which is in my case my blue button. And sometimes there's different applications, especially on the newer calculators listed here. But the application that we want is the finance. And then from that, you can see that there are a lot of other choices, but we want to use the solver. And what we end up with is this screen here. Okay, so it has a lot of different variables, and we're going to talk about what those variables stand for. So when we look at N, N is the total number of payments. Okay, so payments. And when we're looking at that, we can, if it's 4 years quarterly, we can actually type in 4 times 4, and the calculator will calculate it right in that spot. Now, what's a little bit different about the I here is it's the annual interest rate, but it is as a percent. So the calculator doesn't want you to change it to a decimal. So they want it as a percent. PV is our principal or our present value. Our PMT is our regular payment, or in this case, it's going to be our deposit. So it's the amount that we're regularly putting in. FE is our amount or future value. And then we have this PY and CY. PY is number of payments per year, and our CY is the number of compounding periods per year. And if you change one of them, so for instance, if I bring up my calculator here, and if I put my payments per year as being 12, and then I go and move my cursor up, notice that my compounding per year automatically changes to 12. So in most cases, those two numbers match, but in the cases if we're looking at mortgages, I might be paying monthly, but in Canada, the compounding periods per year is semi-annually, so I would have to change that to 2. So as I said, in most cases, these are identical numbers, but you just need to check to make sure that the number of payments per year and the compounding periods per year, that you're actually putting the right numbers there. Then what happens is you have the last part, which is PMT, and it says end or begin. Now, this indicates whether the payments are made at the beginning or the end of the payment period. Now, remember when we did that table on a couple lessons ago, what we looked at is we put it at the end. So in most cases, if you look at the graphing calculator, it's already highlighted on the end, and in most cases, we would just leave it there. Okay, so I can't think of any examples that we're going to be doing or work where it's not at the end. So you would just leave it at the end. So after we enter information in, we can actually get our calculator to calculate actually any one of these values for that matter. And the way we do it is we put the cursor. So if I'm interested in the N, the number of payments that I would have to make, and I'm just going to make a fictitious amount here, and I'm going to put $100 in, and my interest rate's 5%, and it's going to be payments per year 12, my compounding period's 12, and what I can do is, and I want my future value to be, let's say we want to have $10,000. And I'm just going to talk. I'm going to make this a negative 100 because I'm giving it away in a sense. I'm investing it, so I don't have it. So I actually can go to alpha, which is just below the shift button, the second function button, alpha, enter, and it would tell me that I would need 83, almost 84 payments to make this happen. Okay, so I can put that cursor anywhere and I can do alpha enter and it will calculate the number that I want. So let's take a look at some examples. So first of all, it says determine the amount of annuity on the date of the last if deposit. That doesn't make sense to me. Of $300 at the end of each quarter for 7 years at 6.75% compounded quarterly. So determine the amount of annuity on the, I think, last date. So that last and date should have been switched around. So I can switch it, but you can just put an arrow on yours on the last date. Last date of the date. Last date. If a deposit $300 at the end of each quarter for 7 years. Okay, so what we can do here is on a test, I'm going to have this little table thing here so that you can actually enter the numbers here so that when I go to check what you're doing, I can see where you made your mistake if you happen to make a mistake. So in this case, what we're going to do, so the amount of annuity on the last date, and so we're doing it, let's get our pen going. So our N would be 7 years, and it's quarterly, so that's 4. So that's what I'm going to enter in my calculator. My interest rate is 7.75. Oops, 75. My present value is 0 because I'm putting it at the end. My payment is going to be negative 300. That's how much I'm depositing each month or each quarter. My future value is what I want to find. So that's the number I'm going to find. So I'm just going to put star there. My payments per year and compounding per year. In both cases, it's going to be 4. And obviously, I'm going to be at the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the graphing calculator, enter those numbers into it, and see what we get. So I have it on, and I don't have to clear anything here. I can actually just type everything into it. My interest rate was 6.75. So you can just type over top of it. It's fine. Present value stays the same. And this time I'm depositing 300. I don't know what my future value is. That's what I'm finding. And notice that changed. So I'm finding my future value. So I'm going to go alpha, enter, enter, and it tells me I'm going to have $10,625.54. So that is what my calculator gave me. And actually what I'm going to do, since we have all this lovely technology, we're going to bring it up as soon as I get the right one up, which wasn't the one I wanted. This, oops. There it is. And I actually can take actual snapshot of this. And that way I have it in front of me. And there we go, made a lovely clicking noise. And it's just much easier than for me to actually put the number here. So because it does disappear on me. So I end up with 10625. Okay, again, watch your rounding, 56. So how much money was invested? I don't know how much money was invested. Well, I did $300 and I did it for 7 times 4. So I did it 28 times. So I actually can just take my calculator and figure out 300 times 28, or you can actually do it in your head. 2 zeros, 8 times 3, 24, carry the 2. So we actually deposited $8,400. How much interest was earned? Well, remember, interest, no matter how I do it, is going to be the amount that I have minus the principal that I've invested. So in this case, the amount that I have is 10,620. Sorry, I touched the wrong thing, and $25.56. And the amount that I invested was 8,400. And then again, we just take our calculator really quickly and calculate what that will be. And I'm just going to stop for one. And you can see when we do that, we end up with $2,225.56 in interest. Again, make sure you put your dollar signs there. One more question really quickly. This time we have calculate the regular deposit if the amount of the annuity is 1,700 in 2.5 years. So this time what I'm after is I'm after the amount of my payment. So I have to know what I want to invest. I'm doing it 2.5 years and it's compounded monthly. So that's what I'm going to type into the calculator. My interest rate is 5.3. Remember, leave it as a percent. My present value is 0. Future value, I know that I want it to be $1,700. My payments per year and compounding per year are both monthly. And again, I'm doing it at the end. And so again, we bring up the graphing calculator, and I do not have to clear any of this. I can just go and type over top. So this one is 2.5 and I'm multiplying it by 12. My interest rate 5.3. I don't know what that's going to be. My future value I want to be 1,700, and compounding and payments per year are both going to be 12. I go up to my payment, PMT, and then hit alpha enter, and I end up with $53.12. So again, I'm just going to take a picture of that for us so that we have it. And here we go. Here it is. And again, as you can see, it tells us what our answer is. And our answer is $53.12. So when I write a therefore statement for this, I'm not going to put negative $53. I'm going to put a deposit of $53.12. So you can see that because it's just a matter of entering information and doing alpha enter, you could actually really compare quite easily either an interest rate or the amount of money that you were going to invest to see what is the best investment for you. Okay, so you have some fun with some of the questions and the graphing calculator.